Welcome back to Off the Bar Banter. I am your host, Ben Holker, and I'm joined with Brandon. And today we are going to be talking about Mbappe, the crown prince of France, leaving PSG to join Real Madrid, and who will replace Mbappe at PSG. Now let's get right into this. Mbappe, I mean, we all know who Kylian Mbappe is. He came from Monaco. Dude killed it over there. He was loaned in because of financial fair play, and then he was bought by PSG. He's now starting and is arguably, you can argue, one of the best players. You can argue the best striker in the world. I'd say Robert Lewandowski. You can argue the best attacker in the world. You could keep. I mean, it's a very valid argument. He's not even arguably. I think he is the best young player in the world. He's touted as him being one of the next best players. I mean, this dude's accolades are is so long, and he's only 22. So yeah, what do you make of this transfer listing to Real Madrid?
I think it's obvious. I think it's inevitable too. Obviously, when we talk about Kylian Mbappe, we also have to mention him in the same breath of Cristiano Ronaldo because that's his idol, and obviously playing in the Bernabeu would obviously be something that would intrigue Kylian Mbappe. Would intrigue the possibility of going to playing at the next level, the next stage. We've been saying this for a while that Mbappe has to get out of France. There's been reports that he's not. That I think AS reported that he's not. He told PSG that he's not going to sign a contract extension. He only has a year left on his contract. So if PSG are going to sell, it's going to be now that they are going to sell. I think the obvious candidates are Real Madrid. I think they are right on top of the queue for him. I think they would probably have to use like a make weight such as like Vinicius Jr. To make that happen. He's kind of having a breakout campaign for himself, but I think he would have to be used as a make weight in a deal. Obviously, Real Madrid have also had their own financial struggles. They're gonna have to sell some players more. We're talking about guys like Isco, Bale. They're probably gonna lose Sergio Ramos, so they're not gonna be paying him. You know, I would even maybe even say possibly Eden Hazard as well. Maybe Jovic selling him back to Eintracht Frankfurt if they wanted to, or something to that degree. But with that being said, I think Kylian Mbappe to Real Madrid makes sense in terms of it's going to be a next step in his career. And you also look at it, you look at how Ronaldo's career has played out. Starting at Sporting for in the youth, then going to Manchester United for about 5-6 seasons, then going to Real Madrid for about 7-8 seasons, and now he's at Juve for the past few seasons. You look at Mbappe's career, he started at the youth at Monaco, so obviously he went through Monaco, then he transferred to PSG. He's been there for some time now for a few seasons, and now he could spend the next 5, 6, 7 seasons at Real Madrid, being one of the world class player, playing at I think arguably the biggest stage, one of the biggest stages in Europe in the Santiago Bernabeu. So, and then possibly moving on in his 30s, but I think it's an obvious move. I don't think it's a move that is going to shock anyone necessarily. I think it's the obvious move for him. But yeah, that's what I had to think about PSG selling Mbappe.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some make weight. However, I think something that not a lot of people have talked about is the fact that their transfer record of last season was plus 110 million. So that could definitely influence how much money they're going. That will definitely influence how much money they're going to have. But they haven't spent. They didn't spend anything last season. They have 110 million. Um, they now have to figure out what they're going to try and do to get rid of guys like Gareth Bale and stuff like that. But yeah, I could definitely see, not only I can definitely see guys like Luka Jovic getting moved on. I do expect, and I'll say this before, I do expect multiple players if they are going to sell on multiple players in the deal for Mbappe. So I don't think it's just Vinicius Jr. I think you can see a guy, maybe a guy like Odegaard or Kubo go, because if you're looking at an Mbappe transfer, this is an Mbappe transfer for now. To me, this is a transfer saying we want to win now, because you're getting a guy that I know Mbappe is 22, and I said this before, but I don't see him going to Real Madrid to wait 2 years to win. I think he's going to Real Madrid to win now. This is a calculated move in his career. Of course, you talked about the Ronaldo links. Uh, but realistically, how realistic do you think this transfer is going to be?
I think for this summer, I think it's gonna take a while, but I think it's definitely realistic. Given that he's gonna have a year left on his contract, and I doubt PSG are gonna want to lose him on a free. I just don't see that happening. And so if you can get, let's say, between 100 and 120, 130 million for Mbappe, I think not only that actually might even be a bargain. I'm not gonna lie, because I honestly feel like he can break Neymar's transfer record. But that's just me. Um, but I think you could see him move on to. I think it's likely this summer. I think let's see how well PSG done. They just beat Bayern in the Champions League quarterfinals. Let's see who they play in the semifinals. I think they're going to be playing City, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I think the winner of City and Dortmund. I think if I remember the standings correctly or how it's going to work. Um, so we could potentially be seeing if let's see how well they do. Obviously, in I think in League One they're right now battling for first place. I think they're behind Lille, if I'm not mistaken, for first place. Yeah, they're 3 points off of Lille for first place. And you look at La Liga, you look where Real Madrid are, they're only 1 point out of first place, right behind Atletico Madrid. And with their recent form, I would probably expect them to go back to back as La Liga champions, in my opinion, with their recent uptick in form. I think the move makes sense. I don't see why it. I don't see anywhere else he could go that he'll have a similar impact. I think United, but I don't see United dropping 120 million on Mbappe. They're obviously probably waiting for Haaland's $70 million release clause to kick in so they can buy Haaland, but I don't see them. I don't see them being in the market for Mbappe, given the fact that there's other holes on that team. I think Real Madrid makes the most sense for both the player and the club. He can be the heir apparent to Benzema, if he wants to be, and I think obviously the class that he's displayed, I think he could surpass Benzema. He can even be the heir apparent for the number 7 shirt for Ronaldo. So I think there's a lot to say about this transfer that has already been said. However, I think it's the perfect move for Mbappe.
Yeah, 100%. And to me, that's I mean, like, that totally makes the case. Look, Paris, they definitely want to bring back a guy like Moise Kean, who I don't know how much they're gonna have to pay, but they will have to use some of the money they use. They did have a net spend last season. I don't know. I think Mauro Icardi has been somewhat of a horrible signing in my opinion. I don't.
He's been a little bit of a disappointment. I'm not gonna lie. He hasn't been the same Mauro Icardi we saw at Inter.
Yeah. To me, I see a definite hole there for Real Madrid because Benzema, I believe, is 32 or 33. I don't know how long he's going to keep it up. And remember, Benzema's just starting to get into form. If we remember his days with Ronaldo and with Ronaldo in that system, he only scored like 2 goals a season. Like it was like so to see that happen. I don't know if he's going to be the most reliable guy. So going in and getting a guy like Mbappe will totally help. But who do you think can replace Mbappe at PSG?
Well, you mentioned Moise Kean. I think he's obviously the striker replacement that not only that PSG have on the books, but I think they can get. I think it's probably the cheapest option for them at 30, 40 million. I would say that they would have to pay Everton for. I think, you look at a guy potentially, there's always been reports that, Ronaldo or Messi could end up at PSG this summer. I think both are looking very unlikely. It still could happen. They could possibly move away from. They could possibly go to PSG. I think you also have to look at a guy like Mo Salah. There's been reports that his representatives have been speaking to PSG. Um, there's I think the Daily Mail and I think a few others have been uh, have been brought out. Have in Marca, I think as well. A few outlets have been saying that his representatives have met with PSG on a possible move, which is a video that we're going to talk about in another time about if Liverpool should sell Mohamed Salah to fund a rebuild. Um, but I think those are the few obvious options. I don't think you're going to find a guy that's going to necessarily have the same quality or form as Mbappe as he's had. However, there are guys that I think you could necessarily bring in as well to replace it and replace the goals that you're going to be missing from Mbappe. I think also maybe a guy like Harry Kane to link up with his old boss and Mauricio Pochettino. Um, that could be possibly a move that we see as well, just given the fact that Kane might want to leave Tottenham this summer, and Daniel Levy doesn't want to sell to an EPL rival. So there's a lot of options. I think probably the best one would probably be maybe like a Mohamed Salah or Harry Kane. Just for that, just because you look at what their goals output and they're almost similar to Mbappe's. I think Mbappe has a bit more of a goal tally compared to them, or goal contributions compared to them. However, um, I think either one of them would be a suitable replacement for Mbappe.
Yeah, so my theory, and I know that again, they're in one now mode, and I'm sure that if they're going to do a transfer, they're going to get some guys that they could use, either to move on or to fill that space. My theory is to do the exact opposite of what Barcelona did after they signed Neymar. They went out and they got the biggest name that they could find in Ousmane Dembele, or the biggest name at the time, because I remember like Ousmane Dembele was like the best thing.
I think the biggest young player at the
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. They went out and try and get him, and they just didn't. And not that he flopped, he's been dealing with injuries, and if you blame that on Barcelona, if you blame that on whatever, he has sort of been all right, I would say. But for the price that they paid, I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if all right's enough. Maybe they go in and they sign a guy like Moise Kean, as we talked about, who's acclimated to the system, or a Patson Daka, who's basically, I think a lot of people are touting as kind of the Haaland replacement at Salzburg, who has scored 30 and 10 and assisted 10 in 33 games, which is unbelievable. I
It's
think
also
those
in Austria. I mean, yeah, no, I'm not like knocking that, but it's also in Austria.
well, still, Haaland was in Austria. Like
I
what
know,
like
I know, no, 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 I'm not knocking that, and Holland has obviously translated well to the Bundesliga. I mean, he went from Molde to Salzburg to Dortmund, and obviously his goal per game, his goal scoring ability has translated
yeah.
throughout that time. I'm just saying I would also be wary of replacing a guy that isn't from a top five league. I think if PSG do replace Mbappe with someone, it has to be for someone in the top five league.
I 100%. And look, I think that's probably what they will do. I'm just saying what's probably the best decision is what's the best decision moving forward is building a guy. And I think that's probably what they're probably trying to look at with Moise Kean is kind of molding a guy to fit that system. Because I think what they tried to do with Icardi was exactly what they were trying to do. Just get a quick replacement, get a guy that's going to come in and work and just add to firepower. I He hasn't worked. I mean, he scored 5 goals in the league this season. To be a 50 they paid 11 million per goal for
Right.
Cardi. So to me, I don't know if to me that just hasn't worked. I think Moise Kean will probably be the best guy who I'm talking about. I only bring up Patson Daka because I think this guy is like
No,
insane.
I think he's definitely a big thing. I think another name before just sorry to cut you off. Another name that I would bring up is Andre Silva at Eintracht Frankfurt. I don't think I don't. He's obviously kind of flopped around. I think he hasn't played the best at Milan, but for whatever reason, he's done really well at Frankfurt this season. He scored 23 and 7 and assisted 7, so that's a 30 goal contribution in 26 appearances for the club. In all competitions. I would maybe give him a shout. if possible. He's been talked about to move to United, but I think that's also a striker. He's 25, so he's only a few years older than Mbappe. That you could possibly also bring in as well.
Yeah, I'd be a little wary just because he's only played well at Frankfurt. It seems.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe loan to buy, maybe just because you are going to deal with Real Madrid, and that's one of the main pieces that you could look at. But yeah, I could see that happening. I could definitely see that happening. Let's just say they're not very short on options whether they want to go big and spend. I'm sure Harry Kane would love a move to Paris. I'm pretty sure. I mean, we've heard how many stories about him not wanting to be at Tottenham anymore because they're not going to win, and Paris just keep winning all the time. So I can totally understand that. I can totally get that. So I think PSG aren't in a bad situation. Yes, you're losing Mbappe because he's not. It doesn't seem like he's going to sign a contract. But you did most likely you did just resign Neymar according to transfer god Fabrizio Romano. You've just resigned Neymar. You now have you now still have a great attacking attack moving forward. You have a great coach. To me, I don't think all's bad at PSG.
No, I completely agree. Another guy that I know I just said don't sign anyone that's outside of the top 5 leagues, but I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite because he's in Scotland. Is Celtic striker Edouard. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. He scored 16 and 5. He's also he's also put up some great numbers as well throughout the season. So I think that could also be a serviceable replacement to bring him back to France. But no, I think it's interesting to bring in Mbappe, to lose Mbappe and try to replace him. I think it's going to be a big task, a daunting task. However you do it, I think possibly the only suitable replacement would be like a Haaland, but I don't see Dortmund selling Haaland to PSG. Um, I just don't see it. I think also with PSG, you also have to remember that they have gone through a bit of financial struggle. I know that's like sounds like preposterous because it is PSG, but they've had to sign Danilo Pereira on loan. They've had to sign Florenzi on loan. Like their books, I don't think are as balanced as we would like to assume. But I think selling Mbappe would give them a big boost to then go after and possibly selling Mario Cardi as well. Is to also go after, to re-sign Moise Kean, who I think has done really well in Paris. And it's to also bring in a few other guys that could be serviceable replacement. If depending on who they get in a move for, getting a move for Mbappe, if Real Madrid use like let's say a Vinicius Jr. or a Luka Jovic in a move, it could be that possibility. But I think it's going to be have to wait and see. I think it's for sure. I think it's a saga. I think it's going to be the saga of the summer. Last year with Sancho, I think this year is going to be that's going to be the saga of the summer. I don't see him going anywhere else.
Yeah, I think Real Madrid's the one and only destination. I don't know about affording, but what Real Madrid is the destination I think that everyone's touting Mbappe to be. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to go check us out on all of our socials. That'll be in the those links will be in the description. Same thing with the podcast. Make sure to go check us out. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Leave a review on Spotify. Make sure to definitely go check us out there. Bren, is there anything you want to say to the rest of the people out there?
Lukaku.
Words of wisdom coming from Brandon. Thank y'all so much for watching. Have a great day and peace.